a source of creativity. It is a way to leave the world behind and travel to somewhere new, a way to express yourself. It is beautiful, it is calming, it is hard. Oh God, is it hard? Hard doesn't have to be negative, right? This month, I set out to write 50,000 words towards a novel. And if you watched the previous vlogs, you already know that I started off strong before things took a turn and I found myself on the struggle bus. But this story does have a happy ending. Well, sort of. Look at how close I am to finishing. Oh, this is crazy. I did it. I did it. It is currently 6:59 p.m. on Monday, November 28th, and I have completed NaNoWriMo 2022. Oh boy, do I have some words for you guys. So, did I write 50,000 words this month? As you saw, yes I did. Did I complete NaNoWriMo? Well, I guess that depends. It is time to grab a cup of something good and let's get cozy, comfy, and casual, because this is gonna be a little bit of a chatty time where we go over how this last month has gone, what I've learned, what has happened, and just all of the in-betweens. There's a lot. So get comfy and let's get into it. Okay, so I actually have some notes here on things that I want to make sure to go over because there's a lot that happened this month. I did successfully write 50,000 words. That was really exciting, regardless of the fact that most of those words were not part of my zero draft. So I didn't finish a draft at all. A first draft, a zero draft, a revision draft, none of that. Most of the words that I did this month was developmental journaling. Me asking questions about what the characters would do in different scenarios. And yes, I did a little bit of zero draft scenes where I wrote out exactly what would happen in a specific scenario. But a lot of those were also filled with notes and questions and things for future me to look into and address. And for the most part, especially in the beginning, it felt great. It felt perfect and it felt like just the thing I needed to do. But the further I got into the novel and the more my lack of understanding of what exactly I wanted to do in this story started to really hit me, I struggled more and more and more. And it's hard enough already writing a novel when you get to that point, and me feeling like I had no understanding, no clear idea of what I wanted. The holes were huge in areas that I really wish they hadn't been. And so I was fumbling through my story without taking the time to really develop. A big part of this, the reason why this was so hard, had to do with perfectionism. I, for some reason, was really hoping that everything would be perfect. I was reading Storyworthy and Save the Cat Writes a Novel and learning all kinds of really useful information about creating stories and drafting your novels. And although that was really useful and really helpful helpful to learn and understand. I started feeling like I had to make my story perfectly fit in these molds right off the bat. And although, yes, I do want to take the learnings from something like this and craft my story around some of these beats so that at least I know that I'm hitting the important parts and really getting the feeling and the emotion across the way that I want it to, I realize after all of this that I probably didn't need to worry about that during this zero draft, as I wanted to call it. I knew that it was going to be trash, and yet part of me was still so afraid of wasting my time working on a trash zero draft that went off in directions that wouldn't be useful for my story that I didn't. And instead, I worked on concepts and ideas that went off in directions that I'm probably not going to use for my story. And so I kind of did the same thing without getting the practice of writing all of this stuff out in full scenes. And that's a little heartbreaking when I think about it and realize that I could have been doing the same thing, ended up in the same spot that I'm in now, but have gotten more practice out of it had I just stopped trying to be a perfectionist and just did it. I will say my lack of experience and the fact I just wanted to procrastinate due to having a lot of uncertainty around things definitely made things get really difficult towards the end. At the beginning, it wasn't an issue because I was just getting ideas down. I had a general idea, I threw everything down, and then when I started realizing the issues with the idea, the problems, the areas that needed solving, and the questions that needed answering, I started getting a little bit stuck. I had less to put down and I had more frustration and struggles and issues. And another problem that I really had, because NaNoWriMo for me this year was such an exploration type of situation, it was messy and disorganized, and because I was fighting the clock, I never really felt like I had enough time to reread or organize the stuff that I had already done. So I was just adding on to the mess and getting more and more frustrated because of how disorganized things were, but I felt like I had no time to organize it. And I did. I wasted so much time when I would sit down to write, not writing, just being in my head or checking emails or turning to YouTube and watching videos because I didn't want to think. And that was very, very frustrating because I am really excited about this story and I do want to write. And the scenes that I did write, I actually enjoyed writing them. But there were so many parts in between where I was just trying to figure things out and connect dots in a way that was satisfying that, yeah, my perfectionist really just got the best of me, and that's just heartbreaking. It doesn't need to be perfect. Your zero draft doesn't have to hit all of the story beats. It doesn't have to have a perfect character. It doesn't have to even really make sense in all of the areas that you think it should. Just write, because you learn a lot while you're exploring and writing. And obviously, if you have your ish together in advance and you've got an outline and you know your characters, you won't have this problem. But not having that shouldn't stop you, right? Like if for some reason you don't know where to begin beforehand and you just want to start, just start. I do think it's okay to brainstorm and work through your novel for NaNoWriMo. I don't actually think what I did was problematic, except that I never accepted that that's what I was doing. Even towards the end when I was all like, this is what I'm doing, there was still part of me that was hoping that I could just quickly get through the outline and the development stuff and then jump into the zero draft, the writing, the fun meat of it. And because of that, I found myself, again, procrastinating and struggling and not focusing the way that I should have or would have had I accepted early on that this was going to be what I did during NaNoWriMo. Like, it really took me the last couple of days to fully embrace, because I was like, there's no way I can do anything but focus on trying to take everything that I've put together and really sort it out in a way that I can use after NaNoWriMo, since like that's the best that I can ask for at that point. So I wish I had accepted that earlier on. Now, personally, I think I would have benefited from having good character development and plot beats for the story before NaNoWriMo even started, but I would probably do what I did this time again, but like I said, be a little bit more mindful and specific about it, right? Focus on creating the characters and their backstories and their likes and wants and all of that stuff instead of, you know, meandering on all of these random things. And I mean, like, I would have done some of the random things too, but I would have tried to do it a little bit more purposeful and focus on things that would have been more beneficial to have focused on earlier on. Because if I had solidified my characters, their wants and their needs, and then the plots around them, I would have been in a better position. For future ones, I really want to focus on getting better at just outlining and planning and setting up for these challenges, or just for whatever projects that I'm working on. So with all of that out of the way, hopefully it was useful or interesting or whatever. The question might be, what am I gonna do next? First off, at some point, probably not right now, I need to review all of the stuff that I wrote for this project and organize it and take things out of it that I think are useful and going to be moved forward and this, that, and the other, and kind of restructure it, do a better outline so that I can really do a zero draft. Now, I also think that I'm probably just going to put this whole thing on pause indefinitely. I don't know if or when I'm ever going to come back to this project. I really, really like the idea behind it, so I do think I will, but I don't want to promise that, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of practice stories. Ones that are really simple, straight to the point, that probably follows a system or a structure like the Save the Cat 15 beat sheet, so that I can learn it, right? Just so that I have experience, so that I have an understanding of it, so that I don't feel like a fish out of water when working on my own thing, and so that I don't feel like I have to fit into this structure completely. So I might try this one, I might try some other ones, I might, you know, experiment a little bit and just practice. But my big thing with that is I need the stories to be simple and to not be as precious. My big problem that I keep having with my first stories or my attempts is that I'm always so precious with them that I want them to be perfect. I fall into the perfectionism area. I want it to be the big, amazing debut novel, and then I get overwhelmed. I get stuck. And I don't move forward. So I just want some throwaway stories, probably novellas. I will probably keep them short. I want to get some practice, try a couple of different genres, see which ones I enjoy the most, and just practice for my own personal sake. That being said, I do plan on doing more writing stuff on this channel. Maybe I might do either just incorporate it into my reading vlogs, or have like a writing wrap up every couple of months or something like that to just go over what I've been working on. But yeah, if you are here for the writing content, hopefully you do stick around. I do a bunch of book content primarily, but I am branching out a little bit. Be sure to subscribe. Let me know what kind of stuff you're interested in. If you participated in NaNoWriMo, let me know how you did and what your next plans are. Are you going to continue? Are you going to start something new? What are you planning on doing? Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye! We did it! Jeez Louise!